Adanna had always believed in love, but love had never been kind to her. She was beautiful, smart, and hardworking, with a great job in one of the top companies in Lagos. But if there was one thing that made her life unbearable, it was her boss, Mr. Chukwuma, a middle-aged man with a sharp tongue and an even sharper temper. A man whose joy seemed to come from frustrating her every move. No matter how hard she worked, it was never enough. If she submitted a report, it wasn't detailed enough. If she stayed late, she was too slow. If she left on time, she was not serious about her career. He found fault in everything she did. And to make things worse, her love life was a disaster. The men she was drawn to, charming, confident, and smooth-talking, always left her heart shattered. One evening, after a long, exhausting day, Adanna received an invitation. Her cousin was having a baby shower. She sighed, reluctant to go, but her best friend Tola insisted, and that was the night she met him. Chidi, but his friends called him Odogwu, a man who exuded wealth, power, and quiet confidence. He was undeniably handsome, tall, and broad-shouldered, with a deep voice that made her stomach flutter. From the moment Odogwu and Adanna's eyes met across the room, the energy shifted. The music, the laughter, the chatter, all faded into a soft hum. Adanna felt her breath hitch as she locked eyes with him. He was unlike any man she had ever met. His presence alone commanded attention. Standing tall, broad-shouldered, and exuding effortless power, Odogwu's deep brown eyes held hers with an intensity that sent an unexpected thrill down her spine. He lifted his glass slightly in her direction, a slow knowing smile playing on his lips. Adanna quickly looked away, feigning indifference, but her heart pounded against her ribs. Her best friend nudged her. "Babe, do you see the way that fine rich man is looking at you?" she whispered excitedly. "Please stop," Adanna muttered, taking a sip of her drink to distract herself. But Odogwu wasn't the type of man to be ignored. He made his way towards her with the slow, confident stride of a man who knew his worth. And when he finally reached her, his deep, smooth voice sent a shiver down her spine. "I don't believe we've met before," he said, his gaze locking onto hers. Adanna swallowed. "No, we haven't. I am Chidi, but my friends call me Odogwu," he introduced himself, extending a hand. She hesitated for a second before placing her hands in his. His grip was firm, warm, assured. "Adanna," she replied. And just like that, something in the air shifted, but the night had only just begun. As the night wore on, Adanna and Odogwu found themselves drawn to each other like magnets. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, filled with teasing remarks, stolen glances, and lingering smiles. Odogwu was charming, confident, and refreshingly direct. He made her laugh, something she hadn't done in a while. At some point, he leaned in slightly, his deep voice sending a ripple through her. "So, Adanna, do you always make a man work this hard for your attention?" She smirked. "Only when the man thinks he's too smooth to resist." Odogwu chuckled, shaking his head. "Noted. So should I stop trying?" She tilted her head playfully. "Maybe. Or maybe not," he countered, his gaze holding hers. They danced around each other like this all evening, flirting, laughing, sharing moments that felt far more intimate than they should for two strangers. But just as Adanna was beginning to let herself fall into the moment, she noticed something. Odogwu was walking back to mingle with some of his friends when she noticed the slight limp in his stride. It wasn't pronounced, but now that she had seen it, she couldn't unsee it. And just like that, the spell was broken. He wasn't her usual type. She was drawn to men who weren't so forward, men she could take charge of, men with a careless swagger, dressed like hipsters. But Odogwu was different, too self-assured, too straightforward. And now the limp. She sighed, pushing her glass away. Maybe she was reading too much into things. But instead of sticking around to find out, she quietly slipped out of the party before it ended. When Odogwu realized she was gone, disappointment settled in his chest. He scanned the room, hoping she had just stepped away for a moment. But as the minutes stretched for hours, he knew she had left without saying goodbye. And worse, he didn't even have a way to reach her. A few months later, Adanna followed her boss, Mr. Chukwuma, into the sleek conference hall of a high-rise building in Lagos. The meeting was crucial, one that could make or break a major deal for their company. She took her seat beside her ill-tempered boss, silently praying he wouldn't embarrass her today. The last thing she expected was to hear that familiar deep voice. Well, well, well. Look who finally decided to stop running. Her head snapped up, and there he was, Odogwu, dressed in a crisp navy blue suit, exuding power, confidence, and an unmistakable air of authority. For a moment she was stunned. Then she recovered quickly. I wasn't running. Odogwu asked a bro. No. Then what do you call vanishing into thin air at the party? Her boss shot her a sharp glance. And Adanna quickly cleared her throat, flashing Odogwu a polite smile. Maybe we can discuss that after this meeting. Odogwu chuckled. I'm counting on it. After the meeting, as they exited the conference room, Odogwu quickly walked up to her, slipping his phone into her hand. Give me your number this time, before you pull another disappearing act. She hesitated, but then typed it in. Good, he said, slipping the phone back into his pocket. Now I don't have to wonder where you've gone. Adanna bit her lip, trying to ignore the way her heart was suddenly beating a little too fast. This was dangerous, and yet she was already in too deep. A few days later, after pulling an all-nighter to complete a project, Adanna walked into the office exhausted. Just as she settled into her chair, Mr. Chukwuma's voice roared through the office. Adanna, what is this nonsense you submitted? He slammed the folder of paper on the desk. Her heart sank. She knew it was good work. She had spent hours perfecting it. Sir, you think you can survive in this industry with mediocrity? Maybe if you focused on your work instead of whatever distractions you have outside, you'd actually be competent enough. The office fell silent. People were whispering. Heat burned behind her eyes, but she refused to cry. She hated this job, but she needed it. By the time she left the office that evening, her energy was drained, her spirits crushed. Then her phone rang. She looked at the unsaved number calling, contemplating whether to answer or not. She let it ring out, but the phone began ringing again almost immediately. Sighing deeply, she answered. Hello, Achalugo, the voice said. She immediately knew who it was. It was Odogwu. His deep, calm voice instantly melted the stress of the day. She responded a weak hi. "Are you okay, my queen?" he asked. Her throat tightened. She wanted to say yes, but the words refused to come out. Odogwu, sensing that something was wrong, asked warmly. "Baby, what is the matter?" he asked. "Did something happen at work?" And just like that, the words came rushing out. She told him about the day's ordeal with her boss, his consequent harassment, and how she wished she could get another job and move away from that toxic workplace. He listened intently without interrupting her. He tried to make her laugh and cheer her up. He reminded her that she was worth more than an ungrateful boss and a toxic work environment. They talked for hours. He laughed at her jokes and made her feel seen in a way no man ever had. Days turned into weeks. Adanna and Odogwu's bond deepened. He was persistent, but never overbearing, showering her with care, love, attention, and kindness she wasn't used to. He showered her with expensive gifts, surprise dates, and deep late-night conversations. At first, she told herself she was just enjoying the attention, that nothing serious would come out of it. But Odogwu was patient. He never pushed her, never demanded more than she was willing to give. He would send her thoughtful messages in the morning, small surprises at work, sometimes a simple bouquet, other times a handwritten note that made her colleagues swoon. Even Mr. Chukuma, who rarely smiled, once muttered, "Whoever is sending you these gifts must be very serious." Yet, a part of Adanna remained skeptical. She had been too hot many times, and she couldn't let go of the fact that he had that slight sling. And while Odogwu was everything any woman would want, wealthy, kind, handsome, he just wasn't her type. He didn't have the modern flair, the trendy fashion sense she usually found attractive. And the limp. Ugh, the limp. Attraction notwithstanding, Adanna decided to withdraw herself slowly. She distanced herself from him. She ignored his calls, didn't reply to his messages. Each time he visited her house, he was told she was not around. It was easier that way, or so she thought. Days turned into weeks. Odogwu didn't chase after her. He didn't bombard her with calls. Yet every time she thought of him, a strange emptiness filled her heart. Her friend thought she was crazy. So you cut off a rich, handsome, and kind man because he had a limp? Or because you see he doesn't dress well? Adanna rolled her eyes. "You don't understand, Tola. I wasn't feeling it." She missed him, but she told herself it was just the attention she missed, not him. So one evening, she called him. When he answered the phone, Adanna said softly, "Odogwu, I miss you." Odogwu sighed deeply. "But you've been ghosting me." She fell quiet. Odogwu continued, "I miss you too, Adanna. But this won't work if you don't give it a try, or tell me what the real issue is. And if you must know, I respect and care for you, but no more than I respect myself." Odogwu doesn't force himself on a woman, no. Adanna chuckled. "Odogwu, good night, Joe. I just wanted to hear your voice." And she ended the call. Burdened by the previous night's call, Odogwu showed up to pick her up from work the next day. As they drove through the city, his deep, rich voice filled the car. "Adanna, I know you enjoy my company, but I feel like there's something holding you back. Why have you been ghosting me?" She hesitated before sighing. "Odogwu, you are an amazing man. Any woman will be lucky to have you. But you're not exactly my type." The car was silent. Odogwu's hands remained steady on the wheel, his face unreadable. "Not your type?" His voice was calm. She nodded. "I mean, the way you dress, for example. It's not what I usually go for. And you have a limp. Though it's not so pronounced, but I can't help but notice it." For a moment, she expected him to be offended, to lash out like some men would. But instead, Odogwu chuckled, shaking his head. "So because I don't wear ripped jeans and sneakers like these Lagos boys, I'm not your type? And about the limp, you do know I did not quit myself, right?" Adanna looked away embarrassed. "It's not just that." "I hear you," Odogwu nodded, his expression still warm. "But one thing you should know, Adanna. I always knew you were mine from the first day I saw you." Adanna looked away and smiled shyly. Odogwu dropped Adanna in front of her apartment that evening. "You have to make up your mind, or what do you want? I'll be waiting, but for now, no pressure." "Good night," Adanna whispered as she watched him drive away. A week later, Adanna was home. She had a day off from work, so she decided to use the opportunity to clean the house. Her flatmate, who was rarely home, was surprisingly at home that morning. As she made to dust the couch, she noticed her flatmate Linda's phone wedged between the seats. She picked the phone and made to drop it on the center table. When the phone screen lit up, and guess whose picture was staring back at her? Odogwu's. She stopped and looked again to be sure. Out of curiosity, her heart pounding, she swiped on the phone, only to be led to a series of WhatsApp messages she would have preferred not to see. Flirty texts, racy pictures, a desperation from Linda that made Adanna's stomach turn. Adanna, furious, marched to Linda's room to confront her. "What is the meaning of this?" she asked the startled Linda. "You went behind my back to steal my man?" Linda scoffed. "Your man how? If I remember correctly, you didn't want him. What was that your excuse again? And besides, he's a single eligible bachelor and has the right to see whomever he pleases." Adanna clenched her fist but did not respond. She walked away. That night, she could barely sleep. The thought of another woman, her flatmate, taking him was unbearable. She could not afford to lose a good man for petty reasons. The next morning, as she prepared for work, she made a decision. She would get her man back. After work that evening, Adanna went to his house. It wasn't her first time there, but this time it felt different. She wasn't the one being pursued. She was the one chasing. Odogwu stood in the doorway, his expression unreadable. He was dressed casually, in mismatched pajamas, but tonight, none of that mattered to Adanna. "Adanna," Odogwu said calmly. She swallowed, stepping inside. "I owe you an apology," Adanna said softly. Odogwu sat on the couch, watching her carefully. "I was blind. I kept looking for perfection in all the wrong places. And when I finally found a good man, I let something so stupid get in the way." Odogwu leaned back, his gaze steady. "And now?" he asked. Her voice wavered. "Now, I know I made a mistake, but I'm not ready to lose my man." The room fell silent. He didn't respond immediately. Instead, he stood, walked to the window, and exhaled deeply. Do you know why I never begged you to stay? He asked. Adanna shook her head. Because I knew you were mine from the first day I saw you. She blinked, taken aback. But I also knew that love isn't about chasing someone who doesn't see your worth. It's about waiting for them to realize it on their own. Tears welled in her eyes. I see it now, Odogwu. I see you. A slow smile spread across his face. Good, because I was getting tired of Linda's messages. They both burst out in laughing. She playfully hit his arm, shaking her head. I still don't understand why you dress like this though. You dress well for suits and traditional attire, but I've never seen you wear casual clothing. Odogwu smirked. Well, I guess you'll just have to stay and help me fix it. They laughed. Adanna sat on Odogwu's balcony, staring at the skyline after having a hearty dinner. Odogwu walked up behind her, 2 glasses of fresh juice in his hand. Hope you're not thinking about work, he asked. She sighed. It's just, I've worked so hard to get here, but every day, I feel like I am suffocating. Odogwu sat beside her, watching her carefully. Then leave. She turned to him surprised. It's not that easy, Odogwu. It is. Quit. Walk away. Start something of your own. She shook her head. And do what? Start looking for another job where I might face the same thing. Odogwu leaned in, his voice gentle but firm. No. Marry me. Adanna blinked, a coy smile playing on her lips. Oh, so that's your grand solution. Odogwu grinned. Think about it. No more waking up to deal with that horrible boss. No more stress. You can run your own business. Whatever you want, I will set it up for you. I'm not called Odogwu for nothing. She looked away, biting her lip, a smile on her face. Odogwu. I mean it, Adanna. You are too brilliant to waste your energy making someone else rich. Let me give you the freedom to build something of your own. She stared at him, her heart swelling with something she hadn't felt in a long time. Security, love, possibility. She didn't answer right away, but a smile on her face said it all. Odogwu reached for her hand and smiled. I know you were hesitant at first, but Adanna, I have never been more sure of anything in my life. She looked into his eyes, warmth spreading through her chest. She had spent so much time resisting, but now she saw the truth. She saw love. And when given room to grow can be the most beautiful surprise. Maybe I was just scared, she whispered. Then don't be, he said, squeezing her hand. And in that quiet moment, under the night sky, she let go of her fears and embraced what was right in front of her. Love often finds us when we least expect it. Sometimes, the best things in life come from when we stop overthinking and allow ourselves to feel. Adanna almost let her doubts keep her from something beautiful, but growth can only come from stepping beyond her fear. Love should be nurturing, respectful, and built on a foundation of understanding and care. Did you enjoy this story? What do you think of Adanna and Odogwu's love story? Have you ever been in love? Tell us your favorite parts in this story. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remain blessed.